The last flight. It was a cold and rainy night in London. James was waiting at the airport for his flight to New York, where he had an important business meeting the next day. He checked his watch and saw that it was already past midnight. He wondered why his flight was delayed for so long. He walked over to the boarding gate and asked the attendant what was going on. She looked at him with a worried expression and said, "I'm sorry, sir, but there has been a problem with the plane. We are trying to fix it as soon as possible, but we don't know how long it will take." James felt a surge of frustration and anger. He had paid a lot of money for this flight, and he couldn't afford to miss his meeting. He said, "This is unacceptable. How can you let this happen? I need to get to New York as soon as possible. Can you put me on another flight?" The attendant shook her head and said, "I'm afraid not, sir. This is the last flight of the night. All the other flights are fully booked or cancelled due to the bad weather. You will have to wait until tomorrow morning." James couldn't believe what he was hearing. He felt like he was trapped in a nightmare. He said, "This is ridiculous. You have to do something. I can't stay here overnight. I have a hotel reservation in New York. I have a car waiting for me. I have a meeting that could change my life. You have to get me there." The attendant sighed and said, "I'm sorry, sir, but there is nothing we can do. We are doing our best to fix the plane, but we can't guarantee anything. Please be patient and wait for further announcements." James felt like he was going to explode. He wanted to scream and shout and demand his rights, but he knew that it wouldn't help. He knew that he had no choice but to wait. He walked away from the gate and looked for a place to sit down. He saw that the airport was crowded with other passengers who were also stranded by the delay. Some of them looked angry, some of them looked bored, some of them looked tired. James felt like he didn't belong there. He felt like he was wasting his time. He took out his phone and tried to call his boss in New York. He wanted to explain the situation and ask for an extension, but he couldn't get through. The line was busy or disconnected or out of service. He tried several times, but he got the same result. He felt a pang of panic and anxiety. He wondered what his boss would think of him. He wondered if he would lose his job or his reputation or his opportunity. He wondered if he had ruined his career. He decided to send an email instead. He typed a brief message explaining the delay and apologizing for the inconvenience. He hoped that his boss would understand and forgive him. He pressed send and waited for a reply. He waited for a long time. But he got no reply. He checked his phone again and saw that it had no signal. He realized that he was cut off from the world. He felt a wave of despair and hopelessness. He looked around and saw that the airport was dark and silent. He realized that he was alone. He felt a chill in his bones. He heard a voice over the loudspeaker saying, "Attention, passengers of Flight 237 to New York. We regret to inform you that your flight has been cancelled due to technical difficulties. Please collect your luggage and proceed to the exit." He felt a shock in his heart. He realized that he had missed his flight. He realized that he had missed his chance. He realized that he had missed his life. He felt a tear in his eye. He heard a voice in his head saying, "The end."